So welcome. How are you? This is Dr. Grace Telesco, and we are live streaming onto YouTube. This is a webinar that if you want to have an opportunity to come into the actual meeting room, you're welcome to. You can also comment in the YouTube comments section. And so my name is Dr. Grace Telesco, as I said, and I'm with the Fischler College of Education School of Criminal Justice. I'm joined tonight by the Sociodrama Club Stage for Change. And let me just tell you a little bit about Sociodrama for a minute. I'm with the School of Criminal Justice, a full-time faculty member there. I do want to say thank you to our dean, Kimberly Durham, and our dean Tammy Kushner, and our dean Marcelo Castro. And because without their support, this kind of program would not happen. So let me just tell you a little bit about sociodrama and what to expect tonight, what you'll be expecting. Tonight's sociodrama is called Once an Addict. And it comes from a saying, once an addict, always an addict. Sociodrama, you say, what is that? Sociodrama is using theater techniques to raise consciousness and awareness and educate various audiences about special topics of that are controversial, topics that are issues that ordinarily a lecture is good, and watching a film is great, but with sociodrama, you get to actually interact with the characters who stay in character. So you're going to see three scenes tonight, and those three scenes are going to center around addicts in recovery. Um, we have our main player is an addict who just gets out of rehab, and then later on down the road you'll see another scene where other addicts are who are in recovery are interacting with each other in a 12-step setting. And then the third and final scene is going to happen. It's on Zoom, but it's sort of a family get together, if you will, on Zoom. And so you'll see that, and you'll see some of the dynamics and characteristics of stigma, the stigma of addiction. And so I'd like to introduce to you now my co-facilitator, my colleague at Fischler College of Education's School of Criminal Justice in the Department of Human Services, Dr. Maria Levy Mincy, who is not only a colleague, but I like to call her a friend as well. And we have a lot in common because we're both New Yorkers from New York originally. And so that's probably one of the reasons why we get along so well. But Dr. Levy, please tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll just wrap up again about sociodrama.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you tonight. Again, my colleague and friend. So I am Dr. Levy, and I do work as a full-time faculty member in the Department of Human Service. I'm the lead faculty for the Master's in Human Service and Child Protection. My background is in substance use. I've spent the past 12 years working as a researcher in the area of substance use, and I've worked also as a clinician over the past 12 years with people struggling with addiction. So I've kind of had the opportunity to see stigma from all sides, not only from the side that's experienced by the person struggling with addiction. You hear, I speak to them and they share with me the struggles that they have in their recovery process. But then you also have the stigma on the other side, the stigma that might be carried by, providers and medical providers maybe that don't understand or that don't work with these populations on a regular basis. So in my research life, I've had the opportunity to work with law enforcement, clinicians, and different types of professionals. So I've had the opportunity to kind of see both sides of this. I can understand, you can kind of sometimes understand why people have some of these notions about people who struggle with substance use disorder. But what's important to understand is that we're all human and we all struggle with things. Addiction is a disease, and the American Society on Addiction Medicine, the National Institute on Drug Abuse, classifies it as a disease. And so it's something that people do need a lot of help with. And
Yes.
so I kind of see myself as almost like an advocate for people to try to help humanize the struggle that people experience.
Excellent. Excellent.
So thank you.
It's, thank you. Thank you for being with us. This is powerful stuff that we're going to be exploring tonight and examining, which is, the dynamics of stigma. But the other thing I wanted to just tell you, the really cool thing about sociodrama, and I've been doing sociodrama technique. Really, it goes all the way back to like 1985 in the police academy when I was teaching at the police academy in New York in the NYPD. And then I've taken that sociodrama methodology into some other schools where I've taught. And so the beautiful thing about sociodrama is the immersion into the subject matter. And so the ensemble members, these are the Sociodrama Club Stage for Change members who are students of ours. And in fact, we even have one student who is an alum who currently is at Rutgers University. And he came back. This is the beauty of sociodrama. He's attracted to come back and participate in the sociodrama, and he's not even at our school anymore. So, this is the really beautiful thing about sociodrama. And ordinarily we do this live, ordinarily we do it in person, but of course, due to COVID for the last year, I can't even believe it's been a year, we have been able to adapt sociodrama technique and sociodrama methodology onto a Zoom platform. If you can even imagine, it's mind-boggling. And it only happens because of collaborations like Dr. Levy and I, collaborations with our students who are amazing and phenomenal. And without any further ado, sit back, make some notes. And when I freeze the scene, first I'll say action. And then when I freeze the scene, I'll say freeze. And at that point, if you are interested in making a comment, asking a question of the characters who will stay in character, just raise your hand and we will enable your microphone. Now, for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, then I suggest that you put something in the comment section. And we have our great production team. Anthony Bianco, who is from the Sociodrama Club, is going to be kind of manning the comment section, as well as Josh Enfinger and David Troxel. They'll and Greta too. Greta Camacho, who is a president of the Sociodrama Club. Later on, you'll have a chance to meet them all. But for now, just sit back, take some notes, and we really welcome your participation at the freezing points. First scene, action.
Hey, Greta,
Hi, baby, Brandon.
how are you?
I'm doing just fine. How are you? Where are you?
I just got out of rehab actually a couple hours ago. I'm crashing with my cousin because you know how my brother is, but I had to call you first because I missed you.
Oh my gosh, baby, I'm so happy. I'm so glad I get to see you. So, what are you doing tonight?
Well, of course I'm hoping to see you. I mean, it hasn't been the same without you there.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
Oh,
but I do have to ask you. They want me to call my sponsor in a couple minutes. I mean, how's that been going for you? Like, how's that? How is that?
wait. You mean sponsor like those contacts that they gave us in rehab to like call when we got out of rehab to do more rehab?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to get it right this time. I really want to.
I mean, okay, baby, listen. I got out about a month ago. I'm completely fine, okay? I've recovered. Rehab did its thing. I don't think it's necessary for you to have to call anybody and, have them tell you what to do, have them tell you how to behave and, tell you their whole life story about, "Oh, I recovered and now my life is so much better." Because come on, do you really want to deal with that?
I mean, obviously not, but like Greta, I overdosed. Like I told myself I'd do everything that I need to do. Like I gotta get this right this time, you know?
Baby, listen, I know you overdosed, but you've learned your lesson, okay? You're not going to do it again. And if you ever think of doing anything again, I'll be there, okay? I'll be by your side and I'll make sure you don't go overboard.
Okay, I think I'm gonna give him a call. I just want to try it out. But can I see you later? Can I call you tonight?
Yes, of course you can, and I better see you tonight.
Okay, I'll see you then.
All right. Bye, baby.
Bye.
Freeze. So, Greta, if you don't mind, come on back. And this is how sociodrama works. So we freeze the scene and we get an opportunity now to talk a little bit deeper with the characters. So I'm going to go to Greta first. You met Brendan in rehab, I'm assuming, yes?
Yes, indeed, I did.
And there's a line that you said, and I also wonder if, when Dr. Levy can maybe expand upon this, but you said something like, I'm all recovered now. I went to
Mm-hmm.
rehab and I'm all recovered now. What do you mean by that? What does that mean?
What do you mean what it means? I went to rehab, I'm out, I did the thing that I was supposed to do, and now I'm fine. I'm not craving anything. I haven't hit my guy up, so everything's okay.
So you're clean,
Yeah.
but you're not into 12 step or any other kind of recovery program.
No, because I mean, why? Listen, I've heard about all of those programs, and really it's just a whole scheme of isolating yourself from everybody that you know. Like, okay, I know my weed man, isn't necessarily my best friend, but he's been there for me. And you mean that I can't reach out to him whenever I need something? Not weed per se, but like maybe, some emotional support.
Mm. So, Dr. Levy, can you comment on this, the danger here of this mindset and this thinking?
Absolutely. As I mentioned before, addiction is a disease of the brain. And actually, what happens is this is the disease, is what I'm hearing talking right now. People sometimes try to convince themselves that they can do certain things or maintain a certain lifestyle, and it's really difficult to do that. Recovery is all about reconnection, and it's reconnecting with the people that are most important to you in your life. And it's not typically your weed dealer. It's probably someone that in your family or other close relationships that you have. And a big part of that is doing some inner work, right? Because there's a reason why we struggle with substance use. Most of the time people start using substances as a way to cope, as a way to help them feel more comfortable. They often go hand in hand. Substance use often goes hand in hand with other psychological disorders like depression or anxiety,
Right.
social anxiety, phobias.
Yes.
So people, those things don't just go away, unfortunately.
Right.
And so recovery is all about support. And it's really important to do work on yourself, because if you don't look at the things that kind of brought you to the place that you're at, you're going to unfortunately end up back at that place. And I'm going to tell you, Greta, and I've said this to numerous clients that I had, listen, I wish I could tell you that, you could just keep it up like this, but I don't know anybody who hasn't ended up back down that rabbit hole when they haven't really looked at themselves seriously and worked up some sort of program, whether it's working with a therapist, going to an outpatient program, going to groups, and they don't have to be AA or NA. Some people are shy away from AA and NA because they're spiritual or what have you. But there's other types of groups like Smart Recovery, Refuge Recovery. There's Buddhist groups. So there's all these different, like Life Secular, okay? There's all these different types of groups that you can engage in.
Dr. Levy, I see Greta is making faces beyond, so her head is exploding. Well, what's going on, Greta? Why are you upset right now?
Listen, it feels like you're just selling me the same pitch they were selling me in rehab. And I mean, I didn't believe it now. Why do you think I'm going to believe it? I didn't believe it then. Why do you think I'm going to believe it now? You know what I mean? Like, you don't know me. You don't know how strong my will might be. Like, at least give me a chance to do things by myself.
Right. So willpower, you're thinking it's like willpower. But, Dr. Levy, isn't it true that those who suffer with the disease of addiction, substance abuse disorders, that it really it's almost like the equivalent of saying you're diabetic, you just have willpower and you can, willpower your way through insulin. It's like it has to be treated. And as you mentioned, 12 step is one way, but there's many other modalities that are out there. Plus you mentioned, co-occurring disorders. Greta, how old are you? I'm just curious.
I'm about to be 21.
Okay. All right. So maybe some people think you're too young to give it up, to give up, hey, can't you have fun? Like what are we, what are we, Puritans? Like you can't have any fun at all. Um,
That's
Brendan?
right. That's right, Dr. T. Why can't she go on spring break with like everybody else?
Yeah, exactly. Brendan, you mentioned in your little dialogue with Greta that you overdosed. How old are you?
Uh, I'm almost 22. Pretty close to Greta. Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned that you overdosed. What did you overdose on?
I don't really want to get too deep into it. It was a really low point in my life, which kind of brings us here. But opiates is what I overdosed on. But yeah,
Okay. All right, cool. Greta, we have not cool that you overdosed on that. Just, you know,
yeah,
it's
appreciate it.
what I appreciate is your candor and your honesty with us. And I think that honesty is a big thing. In fact, we have here Dana Mills is saying readiness for change is the key. Trans theoretical model. Am I ready for change? Some people say that the pain has to get great enough in order for me to actually make a change in something. Greta, you're being asked, is this the first time that you stopped using, and is it your first time in rehab?
Um, it was my first time in rehab, but it wasn't my first time, trying to stop. Um, I guess I was introduced to drugs at a really young age by my parents, but once I was in high school and I realized that not all drugs are fun, I tried to stop. It wasn't really successful because everybody around me kind of did it. My parents did it. Everybody at home did it. So
Right. And you bring up parents, and Dr. Levy, isn't it true that this is a generational and a genetic, sometimes learned behavior, as well as possibly an inherited piece of this chemically?
Right. So there's that biological component where you could be more susceptible to addiction because of the way your body is made up biologically. And the example I always give is very simple. So I might take an antihistamine, Benadryl, for example, right? That drug is known to make you drowsy. If I take a Benadryl, I'll fall asleep sitting up in my chair. If my husband takes a Benadryl, you may as well have given him, a bag of cocaine because it makes him bounce off the wall. So his body metabolizes the drugs differently. And we all metabolize drugs and alcohol differently. And so when addiction runs in your family, what actually happens is that your body adapts differently to the drugs and the alcohol. And that might make it more difficult for you to abstain, for example, because and then also there's the generational component, the experiential component that you're talking about, Dr. Telesco, in terms of if you grow up in a family where it's the norm to be using alcohol and drugs or heavily using alcohol or drugs, then what happens is you're exposed to more. And the more exposure you have, the higher risk you're at for starting to use. So, if you have that exposure plus then this genetic culpability, it creates kind of a perfect storm where you can really get into a situation where it's harder for you to stay on track. It's harder for you to be in recovery maybe than somebody else.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. And I guess I want to also throw out, like, what's the likelihood if you've relapsed before, what's the likelihood you'll relapse again?
You made a reference to diabetes, and actually, the National Institute of Drug Abuse has a really cool graphic that I use often when I do trainings. And one of the pieces is that addiction is a disease just like hypertension or like diabetes. And the relapse rate for diabetes and hypertension is about 50%, and it's the same for substance use disorders.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you for that information. So I just want to go to our webinar participants and just remind them that if you have a comment or a question for one of our characters, just raise your hand and then I'll enable your microphone. And I'm just going to check here and make sure that no one's got their hand raised. And so, Brendan, I know you don't want to get into it. I also made this comment in the YouTube section here, in the comment section. So those who are watching us on YouTube, if you would like to interact or you have a statement or you have a question for one of our characters, please put it in the comment section on YouTube. So Brendan, I know you don't want to get into it because maybe it's painful, but you overdosed. And so I'm assuming that you were brought to the hospital. Were you Baker acted?
Yeah, I was brought to the hospital in the ambulance. I was actually Narcan, and from there, I decided that it was time to try to get myself clean again. So.
Okay. So it sounds like you hooked up with Greta in rehab.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I got to meet Greta in rehab, and it made it a lot more tolerable just to have somebody to spend it with, you know.
Did you hook up there?
I mean, yeah, I'm hoping to continue seeing her now that I'm out. So
all right,
pretty excited.
Okay. So Dr. Levy, any other comments before we go to the next scene?
I think we're gonna get a chance to see kind of how that's all gonna play out in terms of the new relationships and how that works in the recovery process.
Excellent. Now Dana's making a comment here. He's commenting to, and thank you so much. One of our colleagues, Dana, is with us, and I really appreciate that. And also Dr. Kushner's with us, our one of our deans, and we appreciate her being here as well with us. Dr. Jacobs Kind from recruitment is also here, and we appreciate him being here. So Dana says relapse is part of the recovery process. What does that mean? Do you want to expand upon this?
Me? You want me to?
Yes, please.
Of course, yes.
Yes.
So actually, that's the most common misconception, I think, is that relapse is failure, and it's actually not. It's actually expected and part of the process. And I think that that's part of one of the stigma, right, is that if you relapse, then I actually prefer to call it a setback. I don't like using the term relapse. But when people do have setbacks, it's expected, and it's important to help people who are loved ones of people that struggle with addiction to understand that setbacks are expected and they're a part of the process because they're learning opportunities. So when you have a setback, what you do is you kind of reflect back on what happened, and then you put another plan into place so that you can plan ahead and know what your triggers are, know what your red flags are. So it's actually not necessarily a positive thing, but it's an opportunity to learn how to be better.
But what it sounds like harm reduction.
What does?
As well, right? So recognizing what the triggers are, recognizing the people, places, and things that might be setting me up for failure, and recognizing those as sort of like landmines to be able to navigate around. Would you say?
Absolutely. You really do have to take a look at the people, places, and things. You have to make changes to those things. But a big part of that is exactly what you said before, which is being ready to really look at yourself with an honest lens and say, what am I doing? What have I been doing? And really kind of owning up to yourself and to others. And that's a big part of that process. And so It's important for
Awesome.
others, loved ones and others to understand that setbacks are normal, and that will help to dissolve some of that stigma too, because that's a big
Yes.
stigma.
Yes. And we got a hand up here from one of our webinar participants, Tim Robinson, who I happen to know. And Tim, it's so great that you're able to be here with us, that you saw the advertisement and that you joined us. I think you're a potential candidate. Am I right?
Good evening, everyone. Yes, Dr. Telesco, that's correct. I'm a potential candidate. Thanks for the invite. I'm glad to be here. I had a question for Greta. I noticed you mentioned you have your 21st birthday coming up, and I'm sure you learned in rehab about different substances. Even if you go to rehab for one particular issue, they usually recommend staying away from all substances after that. And you seem to be kind of on the right track. I know you're kind of reluctant to get involved with some of those support networks they taught you about. So I was wondering if you could share what your plans are for your 21st birthday. Have you thought about how to protect against relapse or anything like that, since you'll be legal to go out and party?
Okay, so thanks for the question. Glad that people are interested in my 21st birthday plans, I suppose. So I listen, just because I am not an addict anymore, just because I was an addict, it doesn't mean that, I can't drink. Like, I wasn't addicted to alcohol. I was addicted to a bunch of other things. Half of them I don't even know the names of, right? But um I don't know. I plan on just maybe throwing a party with my friends and, I guess stay away from the things that they do, because I can't control their lives. If they want to do drugs, okay, you do drugs. I already went to rehab, so.
So Brent, thank you, Greta, for that, and thank you, Tim. And by the way, candidate for in the PhD program. By the way, our PhD in criminal justice. So thank you, Tim, for that really great question. Brendan, you look like you're really annoyed by some of Greta's remarks. What bothered you the most? You put your hand in your head in your hands.
I mean, I'm not annoyed. It's just like I've tried that whole idea before, where you're like, I won't do it, but I can hang out with my buddies who still do it. And especially where I'm trying to be with Greta, like that's not an environment that I can be in. I know it's not going to work for me, and I'm worried that it's not going to work for her. And it's just I don't know. I got to stay away from something like that right now.
Yeah, and also something that that she said was, I used to be an addict, and so Dr. Levy, can we try to explain to our viewers that that's as silly a notion as, I'm no longer fill in the blank disease, right? Because this disease of addiction, the substance abuse disorder, it's classified as a disease because it falls into certain categories of progressive, of treatable, maybe not curable, but treatable. So can you speak to this I used to be an addict notion?
Well, the other part of the definition is also chronic. So it is a chronic problem, and it's going to stick around, unfortunately. And so I can't tell you how many people I've encountered that actually have ended up, unfortunately, in the situation, or thought like Greta was thinking, and then ended up in the situation where they were able to kick heroin, but then they became a really severe alcoholic. So unfortunately, substance use disorder, it's a disease, and not only is it progressive and chronic and treatable, but it also alters the chemistry of your brain. And so your frontal lobe of your brain is the area of your brain that allows for you to help you to control yourself and to make make decisions. And what happens is chronic drug use will erode away that part of the brain. And so it does regenerate, but it takes a long time. It can take up to a year, 2 years, and you will have what they call post-acute withdrawal symptoms, which is where you may not be drinking or using drugs anymore, but you'll still have certain types of symptoms such as anxiety, um, irritability, difficulty concentrating, problems with your memory. And these are all things that you may continue to struggle with. And the use of support, outside support of people that know what you're going through is
Yes.
really helpful. And you can try to go it alone. And I like, you know, you may not find that you're successful in that way, but you have to be ready
Sure.
to make that choice.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to get Daniela has her hand up, and I want to get her comment if she has a comment or a question for one of the characters. Go ahead, Daniela. All you have to do is unmute yourself now and you're good to go. I gave you talking privileges. Wouldn't it be great, like, if in real life you could, like, disable someone's talking privileges in real life?
Can you hear
Daniela,
me?
it's all you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I wanted to point out that, the fact that Brendan was able to say that he was going to call his sponsor regarding Greta's, pointing out that, come on and don't do that because the disease is also fatal. Like, more people die from overdoses than car accidents in the United States. And the fact that Brendan had an overdose, I mean, his disease seems pretty progressed. And, if he would pick up again, there is very high possibility that he could also overdose again, and maybe the next time he won't be so lucky to make it to the hospital and you have Narcan available, to bring him back. So the fact that he was able to say, I'm going to call my sponsor, that tells me that they're in different stages of change. It seems like Greta is more, in denial of the progression. Instead, Brendan is more ready to recover. I just wanted to point that out.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And before we go to the next scene, I do want to say one thing, actually speak to Dr. Levy about this. And that is, we mentioned before relapse, and you said you rather the term, to use the term setback. So is there stigma associated with these setbacks or relapses amongst people who are addicts in recovery? Is there a stigma there?
In my experience, I think it depends on where somebody is in their recovery process, how far along they are in their recovery, because kind of old timers might see it for what it is, which is that, you got off track, let's rewind and see what happened. What led up to this? And I just want to comment on setbacks, because they don't just happen like that. It's a process. It doesn't just like happen where I'm like, oh, I'm going to drink and I drink. No, it's usually an unconscious process first, where you kind of start to like withdraw, isolate a little bit. You start missing your meetings, or you don't interact with your sponsor, and you kind of start to engage in certain types of behaviors. And everybody has different behaviors that are quote unquote like what your red flags are. And a huge part of it is being able to identify those. And Brendan, you've done an excellent job. I just wanted to say that, for you to be able to recognize like this isn't going to work for me. I'm not going to be able to do what she's describing. And that's a huge realization right off the bat, is to be able to identify what those things are, because that's a huge part of being able to really look at yourself and really be able to stay on track. So I think that's really wonderful that you're at that place, because you're really kind of looking it in the face.
Great.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. It's been a long time coming with me. I've had a couple goes of trying to get clean, and I've kind of seen what works and what doesn't, at least for me. So I'm just trying to do everything I can to really get it right this time. So.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So what I think we're going to do now is we're going to go to the next scene. And so thank you, Greta. We'll come back to you later on. But for now, I know you probably have birthday plans or things to plan for your big 21 coming up. So we're going to go to the next scene. I'm going to stop my video. Dr. Levy's going to stop hers, and it's going to start with Brendan. Action.
Hey, is this David?
Yeah, is this Brendan?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Pretty good. I just got out of rehab today. They told me to give you a call when I get settled in and everything. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I am the sponsor that they're assigning you, so it's a great thing you're calling. I'm actually chairing a meeting here in a few minutes. So let's just go over a few ground rules, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Sounds good.
All right. So first and foremost, I need you to call me every single day. I need you to call me at least once a day.
Every day, man. I just got out from being under a microscope for a couple of months. Like, really?
I understand. But hey, I've been clean and sober for 8 years, and I'm giving you the tips and tricks of what works. All right. I'm here to aid in your recovery, and that's what it's all about.
All right.
So the next one, you're really not going to like, especially after your reaction to the first one. It's important that you do not have any new romantic relationships for the next 6 months.
6 months? Man, I just got out. Like, I met a girl. What do you want me to do here?
I understand what you're saying, but Brennan, come on. Where did you meet that girl?
Rehab.
Where?
Rehab.
Exactly. She's going through a lot of the same stuff you are. And right now it's important that she works with her sponsor and her groups to try and, aid in her recovery. And it's your job to do the same thing. Okay.
I know, but don't you think we could support each other and work through it together?
I get it. I understand what you're saying, but you know what? A lot of the times people get out, they think they can handle it. And then next, you're right back to using again with the people you met in the rehab.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So just stick with what I'm telling you, and we'll get you on the right path and keep you going down that road. Okay.
All right.
So like I said, I got my home group should be popping in here any minute. I'm actually chairing a meeting. But I think a lot of those guys are around your same age, and I think you'll have a lot in common. All right. You should get along really well.
Okay.
All right. All right. It looks like we've got everybody in. So welcome, guys. Thanks for showing up to our weekly 12-step meeting. I, of course, am your sponsor, David. And let's just get right into it. Oh, and by the way, we do have a new member. His name is Brendan. He just got out of rehab today. So I want you guys to, welcome him and show him the same respect you show me. Okay. All right. So tonight, who wants to start us off?
David, do you mind if I go first?
Yeah, go for it, Josh. What do you got?
Dude, I just don't understand it at this point, man. Like I'm constantly at my job. I'm always paying child support on time. I've been 3 years clean, bro. And at this point, it seems like it doesn't matter what I do. I can't get the trust of my wife to let me see my kids. All I get is these weekly visits, and I don't even get to see them for that long. It doesn't matter how long I'm recovered. Everything I do just means nothing. What can I do right now?
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're doing everything you can. Just stick on the straight and narrow, and we'll talk more offline about it. All right. But thank you for sharing. I know all of us really do appreciate it, but we'll talk. So who do we have next? Who wants to share?
I'll go.
Gene, what do you got, Gene?
So last week, my boss found out there was 30 cents missing from the register. I was the only person he asked, and I told him no. And then he asked me again if I was sure. That just made me even more upset because I was really being honest with him the first time. Why would I lie when I said the truth the first time?
Right. No, I understand. Thank you for sharing. We do appreciate it. Just hang in there. So who do we have next? Let's see. Who do we have? Andrew?
Yeah. Hey, David. So, honestly, I'm having a hard time. I've been trying to apply for jobs, and I pissed hot because of this Suboxone, and what am I supposed to do about that?
Did you just say Suboxone?
Yeah, man, Suboxone. What of it?
Bro, come on. You're not even clean if you're taking Suboxone, dude.
It can't be something clean. It helps.
Hey, guys, let's cut all the crosstalk. Just let him finish.
Thanks. And and I'm running low, so I run to the pharmacy, right? Trying to pick up my next prescription, and they tell me I'm a week early. A week early, like, I got things to do. I got places to be. I'm going out of town. I got this thing, and I need my medicine, and they're not giving it to me. So what am I supposed to do about that?
Well, you can only do so much, but thanks for sharing. We really do appreciate it. You know what, Brendan, how about you, buddy? You want to speak today to the group?
Yeah. First, I just want to say thank you guys for sharing, especially with my first time here. Kind of helped open me up. Like I said, I just got out of rehab today. I'm after crashing my cousin's place because my brother won't let me in the house, and my mom's really sick right now. I think she honestly might be passing away pretty soon, and I just want to be there to help her, and even to support my brother. Like, I just want to be there for my family, and it's my own house. Like, I can't go there. I'm at my cousin's couch. And the guy is just like, I just got out of rehab. He's forwarded me like 30 McDonald's applications because that's all he thinks I'm going to be in life. It's just frustrating, man. I'm just trying to get it right,
I get it. Hang in there, guys. It does get better.
Freeze. Wow. We got a lot of mileage coming up now, Dr. Levy, right? So first thing that I want to just throw out is let's go over each individual scenario here, each individual share, and start with Josh. So Josh, you want to tell us a little bit about like what happened with your wife, and like you said you have 3 years clean. Well, what do you think made her not want you to see the kids? Was there something in your behavior that happened while you were using with the kids and with your marriage?
It all kind of started from that. Like I said, it wasn't really a problem. I always felt like it wasn't going to amount to anything. Of course, like I said, I just started out like smoking weed, and, of course, then, it just turns into more and more. And all of a sudden I kind of got lost within the kid's life. Fights and anger was all that me and the wife had. But like I said, I went and I fixed myself, is what I thought. I went to rehab. I did what I had to do. And the last 3 years, I haven't touched even liquor, beer, nothing. And even at this point, no matter how much I work, no matter how much I pay her, it just seems like I can't earn that trust anymore. And it's devastating.
Okay, so I guess my biggest question is like, what happened when you were using before you got clean, and in the relationship? Like, what harm was there? Was there harm that was done to the relationship, the marriage, your wife, the kids? Like, what's got her not trusting you?
I mean, there might have been times where if I was stating that I was doing something for the kids or going out to get something for them, that I may have been going and getting drugs and hiding them from her and the family and doing them outwise. Of course, all those times and times away from the family of trying to act like I was going on trips and stuff like that, it comes back as untrustworthy. And I just can't seem to make that up to her.
Yep. I see. Okay. So Dr. Levy, if you want to come on now for a minute, and what you had said to me about trust, issues of trust with family. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I also just wanted to ask Josh a quick question. So Josh, have you had a conversation with your wife kind of about if she's noticed anything about your progress?
Of course I have. And I guess this is what makes me so upset about it, is that it seems that, of course, she still lets me have the visitations, but at this point I missed almost 2.5 years of the kids' lives. And that's just something that she feels like she can't forgive me for, is that I didn't realize who they were. I didn't help who they were. And even those conversations of asking for the trust, and she just thinks I'm going to go back to it. Even after 3 years, she just doesn't think that she can let me do that to her or the kids again.
And so there isn't anything that she feels like she could see you do that would help her to feel safer with you.
I've tried. I've talked to all the lawyers and everything in the courts to just see her and see my kids and talk to her. And like I said, it's just the once an addict part. She just can't get past that for me.
Right. And I think that that's an issue that we see a lot because from the family member's perspective, Josh, I know you've lived it in one way, but your family, your kids, your wife lived it a different way. And so it's kind of trying to come together to respect the damage that was caused to them, because of course they put in so much effort, they were hurt, and so now they're trying to stay safe and protect themselves, and you feel frustrated because you feel like I'm doing everything I can, and nothing seems to be good enough.
He's like 3 years clean. I don't know what else I can do.
Okay.
So it's really kind of a struggle, I think, for a lot of people. And like I said, the experience of the family members, where they forgive you, they let you into the house, they let you move back in, and then the behavior happens again and again. And so I think a big part of helping to regain the trust is involving your loved ones or the relationships that were damaged. If you could bring them into your recovery process, I think that's really helpful. And in my experience, it's been helpful. So, there are groups that allow family members to be part of the groups. There's adult children of alcoholics groups. There's groups for family members of people who struggle with substance use disorders. And so allowing them to understand that it is a disease, because I think part of the stigma too makes it harder to develop that trust and to bring it back because they have that feeling. But at the same time, you can't blame them for wanting to protect themselves, and they have that fear.
Yes. Great. All right. So I'm gonna switch gears and go to the sponsor, David. You've got a lot of years clean. You sponsor some men. Of course, this is in 12-step modality now. And I think that it's important for our viewers to understand that that's not the only game in town. Of course, those who are passionate about their 12-step particular program could never be talked out of another kind of modality. But that being said, it's important that we understand that there are many other modalities out there. In fact, medical assisted treatment is something that we talked about, harm reduction. And David, what was that interaction that happened when Andrew was saying something about Suboxone and Josh like almost bit his head off? And actually, Josh, you said you're not clean, right? So David, do you come across this a lot, or what?
Well, thank you, Dr. Telesco, for jumping to me. I've been clean and sober for 8 years, and I've seen a lot of things. I do sponsor a lot of men's groups simply because I found that, there's safety in numbers. And with us supporting each other, it's the only way to really beat it and stay in recovery. Now, there are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to, medication assisted, as they're calling it, recoveries. And, there's a lot of comments. Some are nasty, some are, kind of like what Josh did.
Yeah.
There's a lot of strong opinions that go around the room with a lot of strong personalities. And,
right.
People have different feelings.
Yeah. And it sounds like there's a stigma within the peer support model, if you will, so that there's a stigma around relapse. There's a stigma around medical assisted treatment. Dr. Levy, can you speak to this? It's not a new phenomenon because it's Suboxone today, but it was methadone back in the day. So can you speak to this as harm reduction methods and its efficacy? Its efficacy in terms of evidence-based practice.
So it has been found, the research says, and the most recent research says, that medication-assisted treatment is actually very useful, particularly for opioid use disorder. There are medications that you can take for alcohol abuse, like anti-abuse, for example. But for the most controversial one really is the medication-assisted treatment for opioid use disorder. And yes, it used to be methadone. But some of the newer drugs associated with medication-assisted treatment are actually a different form of opiate. So they have a little bit of a different effect in the body. But the main controversy around it is, some people believe, especially people that are very much abstinence-based about recovery, So for example, some of the 12-step models are abstinence-based, so there's no use of any substances whatsoever. There's also been talk of the use of THC and marijuana to help people get better from opioid use disorder. And I am part of a group that has a lot of recovery centers and treatment centers in Broward County. And they talk about this all the time, because if you don't have medication assisted treatment offerings at your substance abuse treatment facility, you may be overlooked. So, but in terms of evidence, I will tell you that people seem to do better with the addition of the medication. And now here's the big debate, right? Are we just swapping out one drug for another? Because that's what you'll hear on the one side. And then on the other side, it's kind of just like, well, it's like taking your insulin when you're a diabetic, right? What's wrong if somebody wakes up every day, takes their dose of Suboxone, but they're able to go to work, cope with their life, be a contributing member to society, have good relationships with family members and friends? What does it matter if they take a pill? Like somebody else might take a pill for depression, or somebody else might take a pill for diabetes or hypertension, for example. So those are the different, because if somebody is doing better, and like you mentioned before, there is no one size fits all treatment modality. Everybody has a different addiction. I feel like is very personal. And so everybody has their own way in, and everybody finds their own way out. And so some people will swear by their 12-step models. And like you said, there's not just one game, right? So some people they'll swear by what worked for them. And so the way I see it is medication-assisted treatment's another tool that goes into the toolbox that some people need that, to be able to stay on track. And for now, the research is telling us that it works. That long-term, they're able to stay on track.
So one of the things that I'd like to ask you, in terms of you're a researcher, and so you'll be familiar with this terminology of operationally defining, what do we mean by effective? So is effectiveness defined as not overdosing and dying?
In most of the studies that I've read, effectiveness is typically measured by setback or relapse. So they've been able to manage to stay on track without relapse for a year or 2 years or something like that, depending on the length of the study.
So does that mean, I guess, so the biggest question then is, relapse is then defined as, how we're researchers, we're like really nitpicky, but so what do you mean? Like relapse on what? Relapse on the drug of choice, relapse on the drug that they overdosed on, relapse on alcohol, or substituting another drug outside of the Suboxone? Like, what do you mean by avoiding relapse?
So in my experience, and I haven't read everything, so I'm by no means an expert on all of these things, but what I can tell you is based on what I have read and based on what I do know, most of the studies that I am familiar with that involve medication-assisted treatment, i.e. the use of Suboxone, let's say, when they define relapse, they're typically looking at the use of another opiate. And so that could mean two things. One is actually like going out and getting some heroin or another prescription drug or something, but it could also mean misuse of the Suboxone prescription. So trying to take more than they're supposed to get a high. So that's usually how the relapse piece is defined. But there may be some studies that indicate that could have relapse be covering any other drug, any mind-altering substance.
Right. Excellent. So, Brendan.
Yep.
In that meeting, can you recap for us what you shared about?
Basically, I just got out, as everyone knows by now. I'm staying on my cousin's couch because I don't have a place of my own and I can't go back to my own house. My relationship with my brother is not the best. I have a single mom, so growing up, he was always kind of like the goody two shoes, and I was the one getting in trouble. And I understand kind of why he doesn't want me there because I put them through a lot. But I mean, it was hard enough to go into rehab with my mom in the state that she is, and coming out, all I want to do is just to see her and to go home, and not able to do that. He wants
Yeah.
he wants
I'm
me
sorry. Go
to
ahead.
see her on a Zoom call, I guess. So I got that coming up in a couple of days, but that's like the
Okay.
only way I'm gonna get to see her. So it's just frustrating.
It is frustrating. And speaking of frustrating, Gene, it seems like you got stigmatized a little bit by can you share with us, Gene, how long you have clean, if you don't mind us asking how much clean time you got, and you're working at a restaurant and your boss, I mean, tell us a little bit about this scenario with the boss. Like, have you stolen before?
I've never stolen. I've never stolen. It's just that because since you want to get a job, you have to go to the interview and you have to be honest. You have to tell them about your background and your experiences. I got the job, yes, but it's just now I'm looked differently among everyone else, and it follows me around.
So you're the first person that they actually go to if any the cash register is not adding up. They're going to go to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's me.
So Dr. Levy, what can you speak to on this?
I mean, again, this is a common thing as well, where employers will they don't want to hire someone who has a drug history. There are certain rules and regulations in place that are supposed to protect people who are trying to stay on track and get better and work. But again, it's a really difficult thing because you have the experience of the employer, whatever that might be. So maybe before you worked there, Gene, somebody else worked there, that stole from them, that had a substance abuse problem. And so that informs their decision making for their business. And so that plays into how they make their decisions about, who they think could be, stealing or not stealing, for example.
Right. So, okay, let me go to who did we not get to? Andrew, how did it feel to be totally stigmatized in the meeting and judged? Because it must have been a lot of judgment that you were facing right there. So, Andrew, can you speak to that? Like, how did you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm already pissed off coming into this meeting because, like I said, I'm trying to get a job. I'm getting turned down left and right. It's not even my fault. You know what I'm saying? Like this, I need this medicine. It helps me get through what I'm going through. And then I got this jerk off coming in my face, and he's telling me I'm not clean. I mean, I'm clean. I've been clean. I've been clean for 6 months. So what do you want from me? Would you rather me use heroin?
Right. So it's very frustrating. So. And let me ask you this, based on the definition that Dr. Levy gave us before, have you in this 6 months period, because according to Josh, do you want to come on a minute and just tell us what your take on this is? Is this guy clean in your mind?
I still feel like if you need something else that is encouraging it or anything for that reason, I don't think that you're clean. I think that you should be able to be using your will and everything else to help yourself.
Okay, so you feel he's not clean?
I still don't think so. Being 3 years clean, I've seen it all, and I feel like I've gone through a lot of it. And it just, once I heard that, I mean, I get that it's new and I get everything like that, but it aggravates me. I feel like you could be doing so much better.
So Andrew, he thinks you're not clean at all. And according to Dr. Levy's definition earlier about it, the effectiveness of medical assisted treatment, have you relapsed according to her definition, which is basically going back to your drug of choice or abusing your Suboxone or anything like that?
No, not at all. According to her definition, no, I have not relapsed. And I just want to say, people look at me and they act like drugs is my first choice. Like I wake up in the day and I'm like, you know what, today I'm going to hit some drugs. I mean, this guy, he's got a wife, he's got kids, he's got a life, and he's turning to drugs, and then he's judging me. Like, I got hurt on the job. I got back pain. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Mm.
So like, I'm doing the best I can with what I got to work with.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Levy, do you want to comment on anything that Andrew said and give Andrew some encouragement maybe?
Well, Andrew, I do think that you're doing a really good job of staying on track. I think that, the stigma can be difficult because it sounds like you're trying to do all the right things. And you're being, kind of stigmatized for it by Josh and then by the people at the pharmacy that didn't want to fill your prescription because they thought you were medication seeking, right? And you were just trying to be a plan so that you weren't in a situation where you didn't have your medicine. So it can be so, I think, frustrating for people that are in recovery that are trying to really get on track and not really have additional hurdles put in front of them. Because of course, when you go to the pharmacy, they know what Suboxone's for. It's only prescribed for opiate addiction. So when you go to get it, they know what you're getting it for. And so that's something, of course, that, they know why you're there. And so I just, want to encourage you to kind of stay on track and try not to allow them to, get you off base, because you're really doing a good job, and it's important to have support. And there are groups for people that are in medication assisted treatment, and there are sponsors that work with those folks so that you can feel like you're in a safe place where you're not going to be judged by other people because of the choice that you've made. And as I mentioned before, for some people, maybe medication assisted treatment is needed because their body is different and they struggle differently with recovery. Josh, you might have been able to were you on heroin? Is that what, I'm trying to remember what you said.
It was heroin, yeah.
So you kicked heroin and you were able to do it. Some folks, struggle more than others, and part of that has to do with the biological makeup. And so maybe Andrew has a more difficult time abstaining and has more cravings. So again, it's just another tool that we can keep in our toolbox. The other thing I wanted to mention was everybody talks about being clean, and I'm very, very cognizant of language. And so I feel like, you're talking about being clean, meaning if you're using drugs, you're dirty. And that really, again, is another part of the stigma, right? So I just talk about it, not really in terms of clean or dirty. I'll just talk about it in terms of a positive or a negative drug test. Or I'll say, when I say somebody's clean, I really talk about being more I'll say that they're staying on track as opposed to saying that they're clean. So that's just something to think about, because the language that we use perpetuates the stigma as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to both of you, to all of you. And did anybody else want to say anything, any of our webinar participants and any of our YouTube viewers, if they have any comments that they wanted to make to any of the characters? Now's a good chance to do that before we go to our final scene. All right, so without any further ado, Dr. Levy and I and all the other these other players are going to come off screen, and we're going to peek into the family of Brendan. Action.
Mom, Brendan's about to log in a few seconds. Like, can you figure it out on your phone? It's okay. You don't have to be over here. You can stay in bed. He's going to be logging in a few. So he's actually here right now. Hey, Brendan.
Ready to let me come home?
Come home? Absolutely not.
What do you mean, dude? Mom, like, I want to help the mom. What do you mean?
Help with mom? Dude, you've screwed us over our entire lives. You're not coming home. Listen, you're lucky I even set up this Zoom call, okay? You're not coming here, so you can see her through this Zoom meeting, and if you want to see her later, you can. She's logging in on her phone right now. She can't get out of bed.
I want to talk to you after.
Hey, baby.
Hey, Mom. How you doing?
Good. I mean, not so good. I'm taking these pills right now, and they're making me, I don't know, not feel so well. But how are you doing? You look good.
Thank you. I'm actually doing really well. I've been out of rehab a couple weeks now, and I got a sponsor and everything, and I'm doing really good. And hopefully, I'll be able to come by and see you soon and help out a little bit.
Oh, I don't know, honey. I don't. Yeah, Julian, I'm not sure if that's good, right, babe?
No, he's not coming home, Mom. He's gonna have to see you through here because we cannot put him in our lives again.
Yeah, I think it's just for the best. Okay, Brendan?
Okay, I'm sorry, Mom. I just really want to see you. You know, it's been a while.
I know, but I'm doing well, and Julian's taking really good care of me, so I'll do fine. But I have to go. I have to get up right here to take my pills. I have to take them half an hour before I eat. You'll come, Julian?
Yeah, I'll come help you in a sec, Mom. Okay, I'll be there
Okay,
soon.
it was really nice seeing you, Brendan.
It was good to
Okay.
see you too.
Call me more often. Okay, baby. Bye.
Bye. Seriously, that's it? That's how I get to see my mother? A 3-second Zoom call?
Seriously, what do you mean? You're acting so surprised after everything you've put us through? Really?
Yeah, Julian. I'm in. I just got out of rehab. I'm working with my sponsor. I'm clean. I took that stupid McDonald's job you want me to have. Like, I just want to come home.
No, absolutely not. You've messed up our lives way too much. You want me to invite you back in here? What, so you can pawn off our TV, steal my credit card? What more do you want, Brendan? You've already taken so much from us. We're done.
I want you to give me a chance. I'm doing everything I can to do this right this time. Every single thing I can do, I'm doing it. I just give me a shot. I want to support you, and I want to help Mom, and I want to sleep in my bed. I mean,
no, it's too late for that. You've already messed up several times, given you several chances. Dude, you've messed up our lives way too much. If you want another Zoom call when Mom's actually feeling better and you want to actually see her, you can see her through Zoom. But you haven't been there when she was healthy. You're not going to be here now.
Of course, just hide behind your little restraining order for the rest of Mom's life and yours, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. This is ridiculous.
Hide behind your drugs like you normally do.
Oh, of course. I don't even know why I bother anymore. It's always, once an addict, it's always an addict with you. There's nothing I can do.
Cut. Dr. Levy, come on back. Wow. Heavy scene, very realistic. Julian, what's with the resentment? What's with your resentment?
He has the nerve to ask if he can come back. He's literally, throughout the years, you know how hard it is to have to deal with somebody who constantly decides that he's going to mess up our lives and use drugs. And he wants to blame everyone and blame the world, but he won't blame himself. And he thinks that he can just show up here after screwing us over. I had to pay already so much money, lawyer legal fees, to have a freaking person come out, represent us, to get this restraining order. I've had to pay to bail him out of jail. I've had to take care of Mom, and he's been there for none of it. So I don't understand why he has to come back.
Can I ask you a question? I'm just curious. Why do you have a restraining order? What happened? What motivated you to get a restraining order?
Because he wants to keep breaking into the house, acting as if like he belongs here. And the thing is Mom can't even handle this stress. And I cannot afford to have him in our lives. He keeps coming back every time, knocking on the door, begging to come inside, as if he hasn't messed up our lives already. So I had to do something. This is the only way.
Julian, I just had a question for you. Is this Brendan's first time ever going to treatment?
See, the thing is he talks about it every now and then, acts like he is in rehab. He tells me about it. He says he's getting better, and then he messes up again, and then he tells me he's in rehab again. So I don't know. I can't even tell if he's telling me the truth about going to rehab. I don't know. All I know is that every time he comes into our lives, it gets worse.
So Brendan, you want to come in? You want to come in here a minute?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I'm doing everything I can. I just want to see my Mom. I just want to come home. I don't know what he wants from me. It's like nothing is ever going to be good enough for Julian to let me back in. And I know I've done some awful things to them. I have. I'll admit it. But I just want to get better, you know?
So it looks like Julian's not having any of that. Dr. Levy, Yeah, I know. So Dr. Levy, can you come in here a minute, please? And I'll join you. Here's the thing. There definitely is a reason for the family to feel on guard and paranoid maybe, but definitely suspicious and wanting to guard themselves and protect themselves. And so how do you respond to that then if you're dealing with the family, let's say you're a therapist for the family, what would you recommend for Julian?
Well, I think that it's important for them to talk about the things that have happened. And I would imagine that there's a lot of things maybe that Julian had experienced that not only he's angry and resentful about, but I would imagine he's probably very hurt. Because usually underneath all that, there's usually a lot of pain. So I think it's important for them to have a discussion, an open discussion where, Brendan's able to hear some of the things that, actually able to hear the experience of somebody else and vice versa. It's like, nobody wakes up in the morning and wants to be an addict, right? It's like, I think it was Jean, we were talking to Jean earlier. Or no, it was Andrew, excuse me. Andrew said that I don't wake up in the morning and want to be this way. I don't want to have problems with my family. And so I think it's important to understand that. And in working with the family, coming to a place where they can try to start to rebuild trust. But part of that has to do with talking about things that have happened that have been painful and being able to feel heard by one another. And I think also being able to understand the other's perspective, because it's not an easy thing to develop trust. It's like you get bitten by a dog one time,
Right.
and you
Right.
keep going back and getting bitten and bitten and
Right.
bitten and bitten.
Yeah.
You're not going to put your hand out again.
Exactly. So yeah, so Julian, I mean, it's kind of like the proof is in the pudding, right? I mean, so it's just like, don't tell me by your words, but show me by your actions that you've actually changed. And do you feel like it's just kind of too soon?
You know how hard it is that when you grow up and you're doing everything right, but then this guy comes into our lives, and ever since he was young, always causing trouble. I always had to bail him out each and every time. And literally, the least that I could have had for him to do was to at least try to get over this issue. So I just wish he could have done better, be a better person, just fix his life. But he just kept messing up in every aspect. And it's crushing every time to have to bail him out.
Brendan?
Well, I mean, you just heard him. He says the least I could do is try to get better, and that's all that I'm doing right now. It's just like, why do I even bother? That's what it feels like, because it's like nothing I can do or say or show him is gonna let him see my mom or come home and see him, and it's just so much.
Well, Julian, is there something that he could do, or what would you need to see him doing to feel like you could start to, consider trusting him, or even having a relationship with, starting to try to like mend your relationship?
Honestly, it's hard because it's been just so many times of being let down each and every time, having to keep helping him. And in some ways, I've kind of lost hope that he could even be helped. And he says that he's gone through this program, and now our mom is on her deathbed, and that, her beginnings of getting sick wasn't enough for him to get better. So how do I know that her death is going to be enough for him to get better? And I mean, if I were to even give an ounce of attention on trying to fix him, the only thing I could think of is if he shows me that he's making money, staying clean for a while, then maybe I could begin trusting him again. But I believe it's too late for at least my mother to have to deal with this right now, because she's way too sick for this.
So Brendan, and Dr. Levy, if Brendan was your client, what would you say to him?
Well, I would ask Brendan if he did you hear what your brother said?
Yeah, I heard him, and I'm doing all those things, and I know I can't fast forward time to show him that I've done it already. But I just want to be there. I don't know, you know what I mean? It's just been it's been a lot these past couple of weeks, and I'm just doing everything I can.
So
Yeah.
do you feel like he's being unreasonable and wanting you to have some more time? Um, because if this has been going on for many years, and his experience has been years and years of disappointments and difficulties, and feeling like he had to protect your mom sometimes, and had to protect himself and the family. Um, you know, I understand that you're on track, and every day to you is is a struggle probably. So it doesn't a month probably feels like a year, I would imagine. Um, but it's only been a short period of time. Do you think it's unreasonable that he expects to see, you continue this for a longer period of time before he could get, the courage to kind of start to, reconnect,
I
or
mean,
start to open himself back up to you?
I now that I've cooled off, I don't think it's unreasonable, because I do know the things that I've put them through over the years, and that's all I've been thinking about recently, to be honest. But it's just with my mom, I don't know how much time there is. Like, I just want to come home, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. It really is. And so realistic. And it's at this point in the program where I'm going to ask for all of our players to come back on. We're in gallery view, so all of our players are going to come on. I'm even going to ask for Anthony Bianco, who's our production and assistant, to also come on, share his video. And a big round of applause, everybody. I mean, this was a phenomenal performance, phenomenal presentation and program. And I can't tell you how proud I am of all of you for immersing yourself in this topic, for working so many months on this. And I think it's important for our viewers to understand that these students of ours, who are almost all criminal justice folks, almost all, I maybe with a couple of exceptions, not. Hey, what happened to Greta? We didn't lose her, did we? Fischler Academy, where is she?
She needs the co-host so she can have her video on.
What do you mean?
So, hello. Can you hear my voice?
Yeah, we can. I don't understand what
that.
happened. Oh, there you go. All right. Okay. So, I was just making sure that you're there, Greta, but all of these people represent the Sociodrama Club Stage for Change. And some of them have been involved in this work and immersed in this work for 3 years now. And in fact, Julian, wave to us, Julian. Julian is actually a graduate of ours, and he went on to bigger and better things in Jersey and at Rutgers University. And he's now he's a big shot at Rutgers, and he's going for his master's. But just behind the scenes, tell you guys that we were looking for some assistance, and we reached out. And here's the beautiful thing. We're at a rehearsal, and I call Julian. We're in the middle of rehearsal. I call Julian. He answers the phone on the first ring. That's what I'm talking about. And he goes, yeah, Dr. T, what's up? I said, can you come and help us out? And he said, yes. And so he's come to all of the rest of the rehearsals and for tonight's performance. So Julian, I'm going to start with you because you're an alum and an alum of the club and an alum of NSU and the School of Criminal Justice at Fischler College of Education. And tell us what it's like for you to be immersed in sociodrama, to work on this project, what you got out of it, what attracts you to it, what made you come back, what made you answer the phone and not like disregard my phone call.
Well, for one, I will say Dr. Telesco is when she calls, it's kind of like a bat signal in the sky, so I already know it's my time. But other than that, I do believe in the work that is done here. And I think that all this all this information is so important. There's so many topics that, that we can help educate others with. And I think that the best way to capture that education is to present it in a format that, we can see it realistically, we can see it before our eyes, dissect it, and understand it better. I've always appreciated educating people in a very fun and entertaining way as well. So I just think that I really have a good passion for this and for everybody in this club who works really hard to essentially educate others on many different topics. So
Fabulous. Thank you, Julian, again for responding to the bat signal. I love that. I love that. So I've highlighted now Gene. Gene is one of our newest members of the Sociodrama Club. In fact, this is his debut tonight. And so, Gene, what was it like for you to participate, to be thrown into the deep end, and to be a part of this program? What did you get out of it, if anything?
Well, I did learn a lot more about the stereotypes that go into it. I personally did a little bit of research and asking around among my peers. It is hard for me to stay in character when I'm more of like a bubbly person. But it was fun. It was fun to test the waters and see how far can I go.
Awesome. Awesome. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gene. And our other big debuter, first time ever part of our performance, is Andrew. So Andrew, would you, I'm going to spotlight you. What was it like for you to be a part of the program?
I really enjoyed it. When I first heard of the Sociodrama Club, I focused on the drama part, and I was like, oh, cool. NSU has a drama club. That's cool. But I didn't think anything about the socio part. And so when I was introduced to how it aims to tackle social issues and display them in a creative way, I was immediately captivated by the idea of participating. And I'm really glad that I did, because not only do I have the chance to learn more in depth about some of these issues myself, but I get to help teach about these issues and to our viewers, to my own inner circle of peers and friends. And then hopefully that continues to perpetuate even further forward with them teaching and being more cognizant of these things with their friends and their families and their peers. So it's all around been an exciting experience.
Fabulous. And more to come. Thank you so much. Good job, both of you. And so bringing on our dying mother. So I know that you're going to be graduating, Michelle. You're graduating, and I think you're going into law school, if I'm not mistaken. Did you select your school yet?
Yes, I'm going to the University of Miami School of Law, right about 30 minutes from Nova.
Yay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
I know I look like a mess right now, but I don't usually
you're
look this way.
you're playing a very good role of a person in hospice. So and we do hope that you get, completely recovered. But Michelle was the treasurer. She actually has had many different positions in the Sociodrama Club. She's someone from the very beginning and in fact, Julian is also one of the founders of the Sociodrama Club, by the way. And Michelle has played many, many roles for us. So what did you get out of it this time?
Well, for this one, it's a bit different than the ones that we've usually done. I mean, the Zoom experience is different in itself. But just that stereotype, like I could say that I would stereotype people that were addicts. So just learning from the experience, like me taking part in this experience, I have learned to be more mindful of the way I think about others and their experiences, even though I haven't gone through them. So it's just a whole learning experience.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you nailed it. I mean, that's the truth right there is the point of sociodrama. It's like, not only does the audience get something out of it because they're immersed in the scenarios, but it's the ensemble. It's the players. That's the magic, I think, and I know that some of our viewers got a little bit out of this. I hope they did. But I know that more than anything else, the ensemble members, the players themselves who were immersed in the character will never forget this. And it's beyond anything that could be read in a book. It's beyond anything that could be taught in a classroom. This is my opinion anyway. So I'm going to bring on, let's see, I'm going to bring on Josh and I'm going to bring on David. Josh and David, by the way, let me just spotlight them, and I'm going to spotlight Josh as well. I'm going to add that. And, Josh Enfinger and David Troxel are both work study students, and they work in the Sociodrama Community Initiative. They are my left and right hand, and I really appreciate both of them. I put them through a lot. So, David, what was it like being in this program, in this project? Josh as well. David, you want to go first?
Sure. Thanks, Dr. T. Well, as many of you know, that every sociodrama project we get involved in is a huge learning experience and opportunity. Addiction, I think, is a major topic that's not covered enough. And it's important to not only learn how it's stigmatized, but to learn what the warning signs are so that we can recognize this within our own family and our own friends and get them help when they need it before it becomes too late.
Thank you. Thank you. And Josh?
I mean, honestly, I feel like every time we do these, I definitely just learn more from not only just my perspective, but I also love when people include like their own questions and experiences, because it kind of like allows us for like in the future, and just from like what we've provided from the research that we've done and the information that we've all studied, to be able to incorporate that in the future. So, I mean, that way we stay away from, thinking certain people are worse than others, or thinking that others are above. Basically, we want to save a life. We want people to realize that they're not alone, and that all you need to do is reach out to that friend, make a new friend, and you'd really be surprised in what you could do with your life and what others could do for you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And who I want to bring on now, I want to bring on two people. I want to bring on Anthony Bianco, who is our production assistant behind the scenes, who has also been a longstanding member of the club, and also to bring on our president. I know that the president of the United States is actually probably speaking right now on television, but this is the president of our Sociodrama Club, Stage for Change, Greta Camacho, who is also a Fischler Academy student. And so I'm going to just add spotlight for Anthony and also for Greta. What did you get out of this project? What do you get out of the Sociodrama Club in general?
Oh my gosh, that's a heavy question. I mean, I get out so much from amazing relationships with, the amazing people that you've been introducing today and who've been introducing themselves. They are incredible actors, incredible people in general, because they always show up no matter what. And for that, I absolutely adore every single one of you. And aside from that, you really get a different perspective on so many social issues, especially, for example, today, addiction. I got to play the role of not only someone who went through the process of rehab, but also is now facing, childhood trauma, exposure to drugs, even after rehab, even with the people that I've surrounded myself with. So you get a different perspective on life and how, these victims at times.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Victims.
And Greta, can you do me a favor? Can you put in the YouTube chat box, please, how they can follow us on Instagram if they're interested, if anybody who's watching might be interested in joining the club, especially, if obviously students at NSU. So thank you, Greta, for that. And thank you for all of your hard work making this all possible. And Anthony, so thank you so much for behind the scenes. You're also going to be graduating. We're going to miss you tremendously. What'd you get out of this project, Anthony?
Well, for this project in particular, I got more of just like the issues involved with the addict coming out of rehab more than anything else. Because more traditionally, you see throughout media and just any story that's on, you can see through a book or within TV in general, like the stigma that comes of being an addict and just like the effect you have within your own life and potential to ruin it. But when you're trying to do good, those are stories you really don't hear of as much, specifically in the perspective of Brendan, where he's trying to get out, he's trying to do everything right, but people still don't trust him.
Right.
That is very, very, that story can connect to a tremendous amount of people.
Yes.
Since addiction affects everyone in very different ways. It doesn't have to be drugs. It can be alcohol, tobacco. It can be literally anything else. And I guarantee that we all have at least one person that we know, granted, may not be, hard drugs, but a person that may drink a little too much on frequent occasions, a person that smoked cigarettes for like 30 years.
Right.
Getting those people to at least make a change in their life for the better is always
the
reason why we do these. And it's been eye-opening ever since I joined the club.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for all of your hard work. And so last but not least, Brendan, please, I'm going to spotlight your video. Wow, wow, wow. What can I say? I don't know what to say. I'm speechless with your acting ability and just all of it. So tell us what it was like for you, Brendan.
This one was really special for me because just in my personal life, I know what it feels like to be Julian. So to play my role was kind of really eye-opening to not only like see the stigma, but also kind of get to feel the stigma associated with someone in that position. So I think this was a really powerful thing for all of us, and it was really eye-opening and awesome for me. So
great. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Unbelievable. Dr. Levy, second to last word. I will have the last word. But please tell us what it was like for you to be a part of this project. And, you and I have worked on a lot of different projects together, a lot of different sociodrama programs. And so I appreciate that. I love our tag team approach. Tell us what you got out of it, if anything.
I love it. I am just honored to be I'm grateful to be part of the club, kind of, and to be able to be part of, I acted a little bit in some of the other stuff that we've done. And so I really enjoyed this. And I think that this is just such a powerful learning tool. And I think that it can be applied to any topic, really. And I think that the experiential piece is awesome. And I just want to comment, Brendan, that is so cool that you played the other side despite your personal experience, because I would imagine that might have been challenging for you. And I think it's really cool that you had the courage to do that, because it maybe gave you the feeling, a little bit of emotion of what it might be like to be on the other side of the coin. But I'm very grateful to be here as always, and look forward to much more work with the club. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And so I really can't say enough about this group of students. I just can't. Love them to death, and so proud of them, so proud of how earnest they are each and every week when we rehearse. And we have a lot of other gigs coming up. We're doing something for the dental school around autism awareness. That's not going to be on YouTube Live, but we're still rehearsing for that. And we've just done so many really cool programs together. And you inspire me. What do I get out of it? My biggest reward that I've gotten out of this program and this project with you is admiring and being so encouraged by the future generation, which is right here. I want to say thank you again to Dr. Durham, who is our dean, Dr. Kushner, our dean, Dr. Castro, our dean, and all of our colleagues that have joined us and supported us. And just give a big wave, Sociodrama Club Stage for Change. You're amazing. I'm going to do a screenshot. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you again for joining us on YouTube. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel, as well as hitting the notification bell so that you know when we go live in the future. And I hope that all of us